So this past year, I hit a milestone birthday for 2023, and I really wanted to treat myself to something very special. And considering what I own and what I have owned guitar-wise, that's kind of a tall order for a birthday gift guitar to myself. Add to the fact I like a lot of different kinds of music and I like a lot of different kinds of guitars, but I'm also fairly realistic. There's no way I'm gonna go out and buy a jazz box archtop for myself. That's really not in my wheelhouse. They're really great, but it's just not for me at this point in my life, and I don't know if I'd have one in the future. But regardless, I had a list of about half a dozen or so guitars that ran the gamut from some high-end boutique super shredders to some more traditional things, and the price ranges were kind of around if it was a boutique guitar, that kind of price range, maybe something maybe more in the traditional manufacturers that we were familiar with, maybe kind of just below the custom shop and the private stock area in price. So I kind of had a pretty good range of stuff I could draw from. But I wanted something also that didn't do the same thing that a guitar that was already in my collection did. I wanted something that would be a forever instrument. Now, I did take in consideration of replacing a guitar in my collection or upgrading one that was already there. But one day I stumbled across a picture of a Rickenbacker 620 on Instagram, and that's when it kind of hit me. That was something to kind of add to the list. And nothing sounds like a Rickenbacker other than a Rickenbacker. My favorite has always been the solid body 620 shape. The Tom Petty on the Heartbreakers album, Dan the Torpedoes, has Mr. Petty posing with Mike Campbell's 12-string version. And if anybody was rock and roll through and through, it was Tom Petty. Now, a Rickenbacker is a pretty niche instrument, and a 12-string version would even take that further. So I decided a 6-string version would get a lot more use from me. Now, the thing with Rickenbacker is they make them when they make them. They don't mess with their production schedules, and they don't change those for anybody. So back in October, I asked my Sweetwater rep on their availability. They said, well, we'll probably see them around late March of 2023. And he put me on the list of interested parties. And considering, the entire time Sweetwater has been a Rickenbacker dealer, he was telling me that they've never really had Rickenbacker guitars in stock. As soon as they come in, they go out, and then they have a waiting list again. So this means that these guitars are usually fairly desirable. And that byproduct of that is I didn't need to put a deposit down on it because it was a stock guitar, nothing fancy, nothing custom. It was a guitar that would probably, if I decided I didn't want it, somebody else would very easily grab it. So that worked out very well for me. So I waited. And in April of 2023, I didn't hear anything. And I started kind of wavering in my interest in the Rick. And I made a promise to myself, if it didn't come in at the end of April, by the end of April, I'd call Sweetwater and have them take my name off the list. Well, they came in just under the wire. And when they sent me pics of it, I was like, just ship it now. Anyways, before we get any further, this is the typical YouTuber plug. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. The bell icon will let you know when I put up a new video. I've noticed that 97% of viewers on this page are not subscribers. I don't know if I'm showing up in your feeds on a regular basis with that YouTube algorithm driving things based off of other things you're viewing. But if you hit the subscribe button, you'll be sure not to miss any future videos. And if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. And if you want to share this, there's a button for that as well. Okay, but anyways, back to the guitar. So I got this a couple days after I talked to my Sweetwater rep. Here are the specs. It's a solid maple body with a maple neck. It's neck through construction. It has a rosewood fingerboard with their triangular inlays. It's got a 10-inch radius, a 24.75 scale length. The neck shape is pretty big and beefy, and it came with hyper low action. I had Adam at AF Precision Setups raise the action a bit on it, and I think I can go up even a little bit higher. It has stereo outputs, meaning one output for each pickup. Now it can be run in mono with the back output basically running everything like a traditional guitar jack. You get standard three-way switch, you got volumes, tones for each pickups, kind of like a Les Paul, very familiar. But this fifth knob here is a blend control between the two pickups. Now in mono, it kind of works more like an EQ adjustment for the neck pickup, or kind of like a more pre-volume control. It kind of affects the tone more than else, because this neck pickup is pretty powerful, and it can almost overpower the bridge pickup just because it's where it's sitting underneath the strings. So it's kind of like a nice little sweepable EQ. You can kind of blend in some extra warmth. Especially, you really notice it in the middle position, especially with clean sounds. It's kind of nice with that. When the bridge pickup is selected, the blend knob just doesn't do anything. It's dead, as typical. These are not the Toaster pickups. They're Rickenbacker's high gain pickups, but they're not high gain like a Duncan Invader or a DiMarzio Super Distortion, but they are high output in relation to Rickenbacker's Toaster pickups. They do have some of that Rickenbacker chime, but it's a bit closer to like a P90-ish vibe to a degree. It's kind of sitting in there, but with a bit of grit and gain. It's kind of, to me, it's a little bit like a Tele, but, kind of like, not quite. So it's got a little bit of that extra jangle. If you did a Venn diagram, there's a little bit of overlap there, but there's definitely some different flavors going on. However, unlike a Tele, when you switch, especially like I noticed this, if you have a Tele and you put the Tele in the middle position, you get that nice jangle, really cool for pop music, especially for like 90s stuff. And then you go to the bridge pickup, you get that, you can really get some nice snarl, great for leads. And sometimes you go to the neck pickup on a Tele, you'll go and be a little bit more buttery, also kind of great for leads, a little smoother type of thing, maybe almost humbucker-esque, get like that type of darkness. When you do that on, on this guitar, you kind of go from that dry, biting tone, and you do that on this guitar, it kind of just has that same flavor. It either, you go to the neck pickup, it just gets bassier. It just gets the same kind of jangle and brightness, but it's just a little darker, but not that dark in that way. And then when you go to the bridge pickup, it kind of just gets a little brighter. It gets a little bit not very shrill. So it kind of stays in that range. It doesn't go from jangle to single coily. It goes from jangle in the middle to jangly, and a little bit extra, a little bit treblier, and then it goes to, if you go to the neck pickup, it gets a little bassier, but it's still not like a traditional single coil, so to speak. Now, that jangle, though, like I said, it's there, and it really works well, like I said, with like that kind of like 90s pop music, and that's something I really like, like Gin Blossom type stuff. Country players that would favor a Tele. This might be something that you could probably explore and really make work, and this is something that's very cool, especially where there's another guitarist in the band that might have some other kind of single coils, maybe a Tele, or maybe like a P90 guitar, like a Junior or a Special, or even a Les Paul. And that's really another thing that this guitar does very well. It complements other instruments. I use this guitar for rehearsals and a gig for a friend of mine named Brenda White. Earlier this spring, we did a gig with her, and she's a fantastic singer that she plays acoustic mostly, and she asked my band to back her up on some gigs she had. So Brenda plays an acoustic guitar, and my singer also was playing rhythm guitar as well. Now, mostly he was playing electric, and his electrics have humbuckers. And this sat very nicely in the mix with a spot that was right between the acoustic and right between the humbuckers, and it sat right there, and it kind of had its own little spot in the mix, and it didn't overpower either or, depending on what was going on. And I also happen to say I like how this tracks against itself in the studio. Now, the track I played in the beginning was just a clean guitar part, bass, and a drum loop. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do a little funky thing here. I'm going to play you the same bit, but I'm going to add, we basically play that same thing, but I'm going to have play against that, but I'm going to add a dirty rhythm part, so you can see how this layers in nicely against itself. Lead wise, it's not super high output, and combine that with this neck shape that's kind of chunky, the radius and the action that it's set at now, which is fairly low. It feels different than my other guitars. It feels different than my PRS. It feels different than my Stratocaster. It feels different than my Tele. It feels different than my Epiphone 335. To a degree, it kind of feels like I'm running with dress shoes on. Now I can do that, but that whole idea kind of keeps you honest. There's not a lot of flashy bits or overplaying. I can see why tasty players like Mike Campbell flavor these things, and why a lot of 80s and 90s alternative bands went for melody over like fretboard fireworks over stuff like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you. I did like here's a track, same version of that track. I've got the clean part, I got that little dirty rhythm part going there, but I put a little lead bit over it, and it kind of shows you where this thing does how it works well with a lead on this, and how it kind of does its own thing. It's not like a Strat, it's not like a Tele, where it's got its own kind of thing, where you got to kind of play to its strengths, and its strengths is it sounds really cool. You don't really go for like anything really over the top or super rock star with it. So check this out. As of now, this is certainly going to get a lot more use for me as I get more familiar with it. The big thing is finding where this really is going to sit well in what I do musically, in the bands that I'm playing with, and I have to say though, when I'm home and I just want to kind of strum away and just kind of work on maybe some songs or something like that, just strumming and just kind of just having fun. This really does this does the trick nicely. It's a great guitar. Mods and upgrades, there's not really a lot that these really have that are offered for these guitars. I know Mastery does do a bridge upgrade, but that's kind of a pricey thing. It's about $250 all in. Not quite there with that one. I would like some locking tuners just to make restringing easier. I would hate to have to re-drill holes, so I'll probably have to go with either the hip shot or the Graphtec ratios, because they have universal mounting kits, so you don't have to worry about re-drilling holes on them. And I have experience with those, and they're both pretty good. This is, however, the forever guitar I was searching for my special birthday. But however, it's by far no means my last guitar. But this is something that's very special to me, and this is going to be sticking around for a very, very, very long time. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like Rickenbackers? I know the word is Rickenbacker. That's what I've been corrected by, and a lot of Rickenbacker aficionados that don't like it being called a Rick. I have no problem calling it a Rick. So I'm new to this. I actually, even when I posted the photo of this on Instagram, I unfortunately called this maple glow. This is actually fire glow. If you're wondering about what the color is, Rickenbacker always the glow name is usually they have like jet glow is black, and so that's they go for that. But anyways, let me know what do you think of Rickenbackers? Do you have what do you think of them? Do you like them? Do you think they're great for everything, or do you think they're only good for a Tom Petty or a Beatles tribute band? Let me know. And maybe the other aspect is maybe have you ever given yourself a special a special guitar gift to yourself type instrument like this? Let me know in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you guys on both fronts. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.